I mean, this is the most expensive chair, but it was only $20. What, I like Craigslist.
I mean, that is a youthful answer.
Yeah. Youthful or...
It's youthful.
Or
I don't mean that to be
Italian.
dismissive. That's just like...
I was raised by a very old, very cheap Italian woman.
Oh, yeah, you know it is. It's an old world kind of like...
She
we
was...
We don't throw anything away. We can fix anything.
Yep, we can fix
I'll
anything.
get another leg from a different chair. And
She
put
loves...
That on.
She loves... She'll like take me down her outfit. See this, Billy?
Found
$3.
it. Yeah.
$3. See these pants? These pants were $50. I got them for $7. Just shit like that.
That's too much.
That's my mom.
It's okay to just have stuff.
Monty.
Is there a reason we're not tracking it all on there?
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what the reason is?
I do.
This is the reason.
lives here?
I live here.
Bill and Brian.
Brian Kearley lives here.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend Devin lives here.
Okay, I'm sure I've met Devin.
Yeah.
More than likely.
And then they've got another couple of roommates who live
We
here.
have our kids in the back.
Which are not children.
Not children.
Which is not a kid-friendly home.
No. It's not.
Although I bet those dogs would love to have some kids around, right? Because they're like
Rocco is
puppies.
Rocco's a
Playful.
big kid lover. He's like he's a protector.
Shouldn't say kid lover.
No, because they don't know the thing about obviously the gray one's a pit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't, like they don't know their reputation, and they're
Yeah.
like the most loving.
Well,
They want to
originally-
run up to people and be
Yeah.
like,
Oh, he's
can I stick my tongue out?"
fantastic.
And then people freak out, which is so gross to see them. Like you see the dog be like, "What? What did I do?" And
Yeah.
In the 50s, the pit bulls were considered the nanny dog.
Yes.
They were the guardian dog. And if you remember, the original Little Rascals, Petey, Petey was a pit bull.
Totally.
Yep. Yeah,
Petey was a pit
make
Pit bulls
sure
are great. They're smart and loyal, and they bond with a family unit. They're like
Yeah.
total pack.
I've never been like around a lot of pit bulls, but Rocco
great.
is like the first one, and he's the sweetest goddamn dog in the world.
And they don't know they're that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really think they're just little chihuahuas that'll cuddle with you.
Yeah. It's really, and it really, you look at it, it's shitty people make shitty animals,
Well,
just like
everything
they
is
make more
shitty
shitty
people.
people
Yeah.
and other shitty things.
Well, it's like that discussion. It's like the gun thing. Like guns don't kill people, but at the same time, like you seen like these big roided up pit bulls. Like it's not a regular pit bull. They
Right.
like crossbreed them with like it's.
Well, and if you start kicking it and beating it
Yeah.
since it's 10 weeks old, and it knows, I have to just be I guess that's what we do to our boxers and our MMA fighters.
Yeah.
So
Well-
I guess you can do it to anything.
I like seeing those guys getting taken care of more these days.
Well, now there's just so much more eyes on them.
Exactly.
But like shit, back in the day, those guys were. I mean, that's why they were all came from nothing
yeah.
because it
Ever
was like,
talked
well,
to-
this is still better than.
If you've ever talked to an old dude in like a boxing gym who's been there for decades, that guy, like, he can barely get a sentence out. He hasn't had a drink in 20 years, but he sounds like he's hammered
Yeah.
the entire time. And that's fucking scary. I've met a few dudes like that. I've known
just
dudes that
listen
get a little
to,
punchy.
listen to Evander Holyfield talk.
I'd
now.
rather not.
You shouldn't. It's brutal, but it's fucking sad as shit. It's like, and then they have all this stuff. It's like you can't take these steroids, you can't take these supplements, you can't take these things that are going to make your life better because
Yeah.
you're cheating. And it's like, okay, so now we just want a bunch of monsters who can't think anymore and like can't talk and like have a horrible life and are in pain all the
The
time.
idea that we don't let our professional athletes use steroids
It's ridiculous.
is laugh as a non-sports fan.
It's insane.
It's just preposterous because
crazy,
I'm like,
right?
well, every singer you've ever gone to see is on steroids, right? So, like, you can't go out there and sing for 2 hours. And I mean,
It's different type
it's
of
not
steroids, but it's
muscle
still...
yeah,
Right.
but I mean,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
prednisone, but like still, and
They're using it to enhance their performance.
they're doing it to heal. It's
Yeah.
for recovery. You
No, I
can't,
agree.
It's quality of life.
Like pro baseball, those guys, like how many games do they play in the regular season?
162 games.
And then you
also an issue.
and you expect a fucking
just a lot of
player...
games.
Like you need to examine your business model.
That's
In
a
order
lot.
to be profitable, you have to do anything.
Yeah.
160 something on times. That's,
But I mean, like a pitcher goes up there every fucking night and he throws 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, give that guy some fucking steroids, some growth hormone, so his shoulder doesn't
well, and
shatter.
also again, what, 50 years ago, he wasn't throwing 90 miles an hour.
No.
And he wasn't like, so it's like we've upped the profitability. Now they have to do 100 and some odd games a year, and their preseason is longer, and because everything is monetized, and they've amped it up. So now to even be seen for the minors, you got to throw at least whatever 70 or some shit that wasn't even happening by the very like. Of course, someone's arm is gonna fucking. I mean, you're literally saying we need you to grind your shoulder down to a nub.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then they expect him to go have a surgery and come back and do it again, and then go have another surgery and come back. But you can't have these drugs.
Yeah,
And then they're not
you
allowed
can't
to
have the
rape
good
anybody
drugs.
on top of it. It's like, Jesus, I'm just a man.
I thought this was America. Everybody,
On top of it
this
all.
is Meat Sweats, episode 69 with our friend Tony Tripoli.
Hello.
Hey, Tony.
How many homosexuals have you had
All of them.
come down this way?
We've had them
Several.
all.
Really?
All the
a
gay-
lot of meat sweaty homos?
We have all the gay comics on. We don't discriminate against anybody.
Well, you should. Let me
I mean,
just
we
be the
just-
one to give you some permission.
We discriminate against people that suck. That's
Yeah.
what we discriminate against.
Well, we do a lot of that. So, I mean, no, we actually, there's a lot of shitty gay things running around right now, but whatever.
It's not even that. It's just there's a lot of shitty fucking people who think that they should have an opinion.
Listen, I mean, I know I have no shortage of opinions, regardless of how little information I may have. But yeah, you're right. Everyone just really loves to weigh in all the time. Well, I mean, we're a social media culture, so we feel
that's
like
what it is.
our every thought needs to be in all caps.
We were just watching that. I have a problem with watching just shitty YouTube compilations.
They're the worst fucking videos.
Yeah, I can't.
They're so
I can't.
terrible. Shaky cell phone videos.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yep, I'm that guy.
Compilations of what though? Not people that think they're funny.
No,
Not like Vine compilations.
No, this
because
is
I'd
like-
rather die.
No,
Yeah.
this is like the worst of humanity compilations. Like
public meltdown.
Bar fights and things.
public meltdowns. Like we watched one of ex-girlfriends freaking out on dudes.
Oh yeah, those are terrifying.
That's good though.
That
I mean,
was
I don't know
real
if you've ever
scary.
seen two lesbians fight in a bar.
That's
It's
a
fucking
scary day.
incredible.
Oh,
I
no,
just feel
I
like
bet.
everyone needs to just sit and watch the beauty and the wonder.
It's got to be two studs going at it, though.
incredible.
Because
It's
if it's like a lipstick and then like a transmission mechanic,
Right.
That's
no,
a
I
one-sided
mean,
fight I don't wanna watch.
I'm imagining like you two,
Yeah. Okay.
except for you technically women.
I mean, we are
We could
technically
tuck
women
it.
still.
We could
You
tuck it
used
and
to
go in the front
date,
yard.
of course,
Yeah.
but you used to date, and so there's still an axe to grind. No, I once saw one lesbian pick up, this was a long ago when you could smoke in bars, pick up a glass ashtray and shatter it on the side of a bar, and then just calm, hold the piece of glass up to the bitch and go, come on.
Yeah.
Oh
And I
my.
thought, that's the fucking most badass move I've ever
Yes.
seen,
Oh
ever. Because, like, like men try to, like, chest pump and, like, get all tall. This lesbian was like, no, let's do this.
like,
And I was like, you Clint Eastwooded that motherfucker.
I will fucking murder you.
It was
this
incredible.
instant.
And that was the whole fight. Believe me, it ended right there.
Yeah.
There are sensible people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna get cut by Crystal at that point.
shit.
You imagine getting cut by Crystal? That's a wound that you need multiple stitches on.
Well, also because now I want her name to have been Crystal because I love a butch lesbian with a super feminine name. Like it's Crystal, and like I just wish everyone were to call me Chris, but they won't. Like, yeah, that's just the bane of your existence, honey. Is your parents named you Crystal? That's all right. You can still be a fire hydrant and a flannel shirt and a beanie. I love you, honey. I fucking love everything about you. I love those lesbians. It's true. Like I started going, I moved here a year ago, May, and I got it's not a subscription. What season tickets
Okay.
to the Mercury, the
Yeah.
the female,
yeah.
and the WNBA.
Yeah.
And so it's literally like me and about 6,000 lesbians
Right.
and then 15,000 empty seats.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yep.
But I don't know if you've ever been to one of those games. You need to go. First of all, tickets are like $18 and you're like 10 rows off the court.
You're right there.
Because no one's going, no one's supporting.
I want to go watch Brittany Griner move around.
She's
like,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is, again, with the WNBA, growing up, going to Suns games here back when they were at the Coliseum.
Right.
Like my grandparents, they always had season tickets forever. So we were like, third row under the basket or under the hoop or whatever. And So to go, I mean, I just sort of know much more about basketball than I think I do. But these chicks fucking throw elbows and they play so dirty. And then there's like two of them that are like Britney's size, right? Then they have this one chick that's like 4'9" or 4'10", and she literally runs between their legs. I mean, it's almost Harlem Globetrotters style. Except you do not laugh at these chicks because they're in it to win. No, but like this one little chick on the Mercury, and she can make every three-pointer in the world.
Just a jump shot.
But she literally goes under them and around them, and the big ones are like, like they can't, like a mouse with a big foot. Oh, it's incredible. You got to support them. Support the lesbians.
We should definitely go to that game. That'd be a lot of fun.
They win championships all the time.
I know. They're good.
Like the best team in the Valley.
Yes.
Like legitimately better than the football team, the hockey team, the baseball team.
And then, of course, again, you always are going to be sitting in a row of lesbians.
That's fine.
And so I plop down, glittery as I can be.
Best friends with the softball team at my college.
The best, right? And I'm like, okay, so fill me in. And they're like, well, that one used to date that one on the other team. Get out of that one. Oh, they know all
the gossip.
So it's like you still get gossip, but it's also
great.
Like I know sports fans are all into like stats and like, oh, well, his RBIs.
That's a great
and his
stat, though.
No, lesbian sports stats are so much better because it's all about who still shares custody of a Persian cat with this one, and this one's got this new wife who's much older and used to be a basketball trainer. And
I think you just figured out how we fix the WNBA. We need to get basketball wives, but WNBA basketball wives.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
That'd be a fantastic show.
That'd be a fantastic
Oh my
show.
God.
Listen, it wouldn't be the prettiest show to look at, but get over it.
Hey.
Why does everything have to be like a Kardashian?
It doesn't
doesn't
all
at
have
all.
to be
There's all
pretty.
kinds of beauty, right?
Doesn't have to
Real
be
is
pretty.
beautiful.
And if you can literally watch Britney do what she does and not go, that's a beautiful fucking human. I don't get it. Do you know what I mean? Like it might not be your obvious aesthetic, but when you see someone do something that incredibly well,
Whenever you see a master at work, whatever it is that they're doing, a master,
right?
It's beautiful.
Exactly.
Which is why I like Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, there you go.
Never was a fan of her work before, but in this last year and a half, I gotta say, the bitch is hot on Twitter. She'll clap back in a very clever, smart way, much cleverer than any other porn stars.
She's not dumb. Stormy Daniels is not fucking dumb.
So you think that's her? You don't think she's got someone writing for her?
Oh no, I think it's for sure.
I think it's her.
No, I think she is that good with a comeback because I think you have to be. I think if you look, this is not a 20-year-old woman.
She's been taking
She's been in the
loads
game a
for
while.
fucking 20 years, man, on camera.
And so
she's got some comebacks for come.
Yeah. And I also think, they make their living doing live appearance, right? I mean, I understand porn is really just a front for escorting or whatever, but like those, they come in, I'm going to be at the tit hole over here on, in Chandler. Like they have to have people say horrible shit to them all the time. I had a gay porn star once hire me to write an act for him. He wanted to do stand-up because he was starting to age out, and he was like, I don't really do movies anymore, but I still go to clubs and like get naked and like jerk my dick for a second and then sign autographs. And I would wonder if I could go to a club and just get on the box and just do 10 minutes of stand-up, that would be so much less degrading. And I said, oh, it's not. That's where you're wrong. If you think stand-up is less degrading than jerking your big dick off on a box and you're so wrong. And
I wish I had a piece that people wanted me to just fucking stroke.
Oh my
like,
God.
I got this fucking thing that looks like it's got AIDS.
Fat cock, I ain't fucking telling jokes.
No.
I'm using that big fat cock. That's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. Right.
Do you want to hear the grossest gay thing he ever told me?
Go for
Please.
This is hard. I'm expecting you to be grossed out by this. So it doesn't make you homophobic to be disgusted by this.
Oh no.
So
I'm
obviously
doubting
you
we'll
know
be grossed
about
out.
like DP videos are all the rage now. Everyone's getting DP.
Oh, they're the rage now?
Oh yeah, it's the young kids are now acting like they invented it. And but what's frightening is look, I'm 49 years old, and when the porn I started watching, nobody was there was some that had been shot before AIDS, but I became sexually active right when AIDS was happening. So I'm used to like seeing condoms and porn and stuff and all that. And so nobody like doing that outrageously stuff. And I hadn't seen like a bukkake video or anything until literally the last decade. You know what I mean? Like everything's really ratcheted up because of the internet and Pornhub. And so now these kids like in college are just like, oh yeah, I can take 2 dicks. And it's like, what? You shouldn't. No, you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't ever. Like we have so much Mexican food here. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And so, so this porn star is a very famous bottom, and he was like, oh, this is hilarious. I'm sure you can make a joke out of this. When you're going to be DP'd, what you do is, you douche, right? It's an enema, right?
Yeah.
You do a bunch of enemas until
we
everything runs.
We went to the gay sex store
clear.
yesterday with Ray Howard.
Oh, Christ.
So
well, then here I am prefacing this with dignity, and you spent a day with Ray yesterday. Anyway, so he's like, but the secret is you douche and you douche and you douche, and then you douche with vegetable oil.
Whoa.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and he goes, because then you're just lubed inside.
Oh.
And then you can just lay there, just get fucked and fucked and fucked and fucked all day. You can take chicks. Yeah, because everything's. And then he goes, but the thing is, when you go to drive home at the end of the day, you have to put newspaper down in your car.
Oh, yeah. You'll drip.
Okay, no, I
drip.
can't. I can't make a joke out of that. I can't.
That's the joke.
Because the reality is the punchline, and I cannot put any frosting on that cake, you sicko.
Oh my God.
Just get on the box and get your cock out and let's go home. That is amazing. Yeah. So he was like, that'd be a great joke. And I was like, that's what we would call a closer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't say anything else after that. God damn it. There's nothing else to say. Yeah. I had to drip dry on my seat on my way home.
What do you just tell people? Oh, yeah, I have a huge parrot. There's a macaw in the back of the other room.
I got a George Foreman oil catcher under my ass.
Oh,
it's built into my seat.
You always wear those really loose Nike high tops with a really big opening.
Why is there kitty litter all over your seat all the time? It's like, I forgot the newspaper.
Oh my God. I don't even know. Yeah, where do you buy sawdust? I don't even know where you buy that nowadays. I mean, Lord.
I feel like the rodent section at like a pet store. You get some
that would be like cedar chips and stuff.
Pine too.
Is that as
They got the
absorbent?
pine.
I don't know.
Just go to your local lumber shop.
When am I not at a lumber shop?
I feel like you spend a lot of time at the lumber shop.
I actually had to when I bought my house. The furniture outside. Anyway, one of them was there was like a bed, like an outdoor, like a day bed, but it's meant to be outside, right? And it was a little wobbly. Like it was just like a half an inch.
Yeah.
And so I needed a piece of like wood, like, you would put a matchbook under a restaurant table.
Absolutely.
So I needed a little piece of wood that would be cut like a wedge, but would only be maybe half an inch tall at its highest.
Right.
So I went into Anawalt Lumber or whatever on 7th Street and did exactly this. I just need a piece of just like a triangle, like a wedge, like an inch. I think I'm giving you measurements.
Yeah.
And they're just like, faggot, we sell this shit by the truckload. Like we don't cut one sliver of wood for some sissy that has a furniture repair. Yeah. And then I'm like, and if a dark wood would be better. Like they're like, bitch, that's not how this. So they literally go, there's a scrap heap on the side by the dumpster. Just dig around in there. You'll probably find exactly what you need. They wouldn't take any money or anything.
That's nice.
I think, humiliated myself so much in their office that they were like, just go dig in the trash. Queer.
I've worked in a few lumber yards, and I've had a few of those situations where it's just like,
I don't know.
It's trying to bridge the gap between someone who works with wood all day and someone who never touches it. It's like, what is it that you really need?
Like, what is a lathe? What is a lathe?
A lathe?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I know it's a wood word.
A lathe it's a big woodworking tool. There's a metal lathe as well, but you put like a big block in it, and it spins around at high speed, and you can basically.
So it's a machine.
Yeah, it's a machine.
It's not a handheld.
It's like, you ever see like banister and like on a staircase.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, it starts as
a
a
circular
right.
banister.
It starts as a long rectangle,
It starts
and then you
as a square piece of
make
wood.
it round.
Yeah, and then you just sit there and tool it. You do the same thing with metal. Just all kinds of different shit. Next time you have a situation like that, you call Brian or I know. And we'll help
That's
you.
why I'm doing this podcast.
We will definitely help
I have
you.
some home repairs.
we got you on home repairs, bro.
No, I know every lesbian in the WNBA. I don't need you fellas.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Please, if I have a leak, I have 10 ladies I can call.
Oh, shit.
And they'll bring booze.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We when a dude shows up to fix something, they expect the booze to be provided.
Yeah.
We're needy cunts.
You know how many times I've fixed somebody's car and been paid in alcohol, and I'm like, motherfucker, I make $30 an hour to do this. Like, that's a real motherfucker.
Did you learn because you sort of grew up with your dad tooling around on
my
engines and
dad
shit?
my dad was a
That's such a stereotype.
Yeah,
I know,
no,
but
he was a doctor. He was a doctorate of philosophy.
it just seems like that's the kind of thing that most people that know about cars learned it from a parent that was like, that was our bonding thing.
That's the most common.
My knowledge of how to work with my hands was because of rebellion. My parents are both academics, and I didn't want to be an academic. And that's where they were pushing me, and I was like, I'm going to go to school to learn how to work on fucking cars. And I did. And
That's where you really embraced being a piece of shit.
I know, but it's kind of an illusion. His shitness is kind of like,
Oh, it's totally
because then in your act, you and in life, like you use these big $10 words and stuff correctly.
I'm not dumb.
Right?
but
No,
I
like
am
you
dumb.
You try. You pretend to be much worse than you are, which is good. That's a smart move. Let people underestimate you. That's the fucking key
I
to
like
life.
being underestimated.
Yeah,
It's easier.
because everyone else in
easy
this
to
business
do.
is going to be a big talker and not deliver. So being underestimated is the best. Man.
I really hate cliches, but I do tend to live life by cliches a lot. And one of them was always the Teddy Roosevelt walk softly and carry a big stick.
That's what the porn guy used to say.
Is it? What a smart man.
Oh yeah, he was a real.
Hey, he
Nobel
figured
Peace
out
Prize.
he figured out the vegetable oil trick.
He also
Nobody else
figured
was
out-
doing that.
First of all, I don't think he figured it out. I believe Florence Henderson told him that trick.
But did
Florence,
you figure
no.
out the newspaper trick?
Yeah, that I bet he came up with.
See, that's
use the New Times. They're free.
they are free.
Yeah.
I would use New Times.
I got a lot of pages.
So, Tony, you how did you get into stand up anyway? Like, you've been in the business for fucking years.
So I've been doing stand up for almost 12 years, which being 49 is not.
Yeah.
I should have, I've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
But so grew up here in Phoenix and was always such a little sissy. I was a singer. I was in the Phoenix Boys Choir and stuff. Just, because you got to find people that won't try to kick your ass.
Yeah.
And like for the Boys Choir, I was a fucking lumberjack. You know what I'm saying? And then I did, a bunch of children's theater and shit. And then I moved to LA and lived there. And went to like acting school and was always doing, like sort of acting. I wanted to like be more of like a host though. I'm not really a very good actor. And so I was friends with Kathy Griffin I met her through Margaret Cho back before any of that. Like Kathy was doing Suddenly Susan at the time.
Okay.
So she was on a show, but it
Right.
wasn't like, she wasn't like famous. But
Yeah.
she, Kathy Griffin, Margaret Cho, and Janine Garofalo, along with a woman named Beth Lapidus, did a show called Hot Cup of Talk all through the early 90s. And it was really where this alternative stand-up really started and was really developed because they put an egg timer on stage and it was 10 minutes, no punchlines. And you had to get up
I could do
and
that.
do 10 minutes
You do that every time.
telling a story, and it couldn't be prepared material.
Okay.
You're trying to make us laugh, but
Right.
this isn't your act.
Yeah.
And so, because, if you think everything before then, Rodney Dangerfield and Joan Rivers, all these people would do singleton, a million jokes, but their act could be in any order. Right. Maybe they'd have a 60-second bit, but nobody was doing, other than like Carlin, you know what I mean? And I guess Pryor kind of did some pretty long stories, but mostly after he set himself on fire. Then he had a real good story to tell. But like, people just didn't do 10 and 15-minute long chunks. And so that was really where that sort of happened. It's a very West Coast thing. And so, people forget Garofalo was a fucking beast.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Like she was, and that was where the whole thing of walking up with your notebook, and people would kind of be like, my sort of story beats are going to be this to this to this, but then we find it. And then, once you did it a few times, then you kind of were like, oh, now I can do that like in an act, like in a comedy club or something. But so,
And so many people write like that now.
Yeah.
Like I write like
Talk
that.
it out.
Yeah, I talk it out every fucking time because otherwise I won't, one, remember it, or two, I won't find what's really funny about it. Like I
Right.
gotta go eat shit with what I think is funny and then like try to figure out something different.
And the other thing about it also was, what if you did an act that was just funny to you and your friends?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this is still pre-internet in terms of like you being able to get any comedy special in the world. Like, so it was just like just the people that come to this little dingy bar. It was a coffee house. Then they did a gay bar. Then they started doing it in real clubs. But it was like this every Sunday night. Just the 50 of us that are kind of in the know had this sort of, club. And then it grew. And then David Cross started and all those people, and it just became this thing.
Yeah.
But to this day, Beth Lapidus, every Sunday night, now it's called Uncabaret.
Still runs it?
Uncabaret's been running for 25 years. This is their 25th year. So if you're ever in LA, go see Uncabaret because it'll just be 10 hugely famous people getting up and just talking for 10 minutes. And they might put a singer in or something, but no one's really doing like their act. I've done it a few times, and it's not an open mic, but it's much more like a mic. It's more like a mic of all celebrities.
Gotcha.
But like old SNL people will show up. Sherry O'Terry shows up.
Okay.
And Sherry O'Terry.
How many shows can you name that have been running for 25 years?
I know. And
that's
it's
insane.
the same.
That's so
There's
cool.
about 100 people that do it. They just sort of rotate, but it's
That's
fun.
fucking fabulous.
That's
and it's
super
always
cool.
new.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go reset the camera.
Reset the goddamn camera, Bill.
What does that mean? Does that
There's
memory
a button
card run out?
he's got to touch. Stop recording at a certain time because we.
But the audio still records.
Oh yeah. The audio always
Do you
goes.
edit that out on the
I
podcast?
cut it
Probably
together and I kind of put a little cover on it, make it look
cool.
nice.
Do you guys do ads?
No, we haven't hit the point where anybody wants us to do ads yet.
I mean,
So-
we do ads for people with
Yeah.
them not willing.
Yeah, like
we just
did-
say like, "Hey, I got really fucked up on PBR last night and I had a great time."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
great-
targeted
Actually,
marketing.
exactly.
That's
want-
called product
we want
integration
PBR
into
to be
business.
drank more than I want PBR to be drank more than anything right now.
Are they going away? I thought I
They're
read
not.
something that they were in danger.
They won their lawsuit.
Oh, okay.
They
Yeah.
sued Miller Coors because they had tried to triple their production costs 3 years before the contract ended. And they had in the contract that they keep their rate and they get to renegotiate the contract at the end of the contract. Miller Coors completely breached and just started charging them a shit ton to brew their beer because one, they take away from the sale of Miller Coors products because Pabst
Right.
Blue Ribbon is their own thing, and two, they fucking have to brew their beer. So they were just like, we don't want to fucking do this anymore, and they tried to run them out. And now they can't, and now they're probably locked into a couple more years instead of
That's how things are set
2021.
up now. Is it's cheaper for most companies to break a law and then say sue me,
Yeah.
and then okay, then I mean But anyway, so we were talking about how this all came to be. So I was hanging out with Kathy and Margaret. Margaret was much wilder. She was a big drinker. I've never really been much of a drinker.
Yeah.
I've never done any drug. I smoked pot twice in high school. That's it.
Really?
Never taken an ecstasy or a cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
So and so Kathy never had a drink in her life. My roommate at the time never drank. So we would get together, and this was when shows like Survivor were starting. I remember the original season of Survivor. That's how fucking old I am.
I remember the original.
And there was a
season of
reality show
Survivor.
called The Swan. Do you remember that?
I remember The
Where they
Swan,
would
too.
give women head to toe plastic surgery.
I remember
but they
that.
had to live in a house where all the mirrors were covered for 2 months.
Yep.
And then the first time they saw themselves in a mirror was 2 months after, when theoretically the swelling had gone down.
Yeah.
And they had all veneers. They all had the same nose. They all had the same tits. They'd all gotten the same hair, so they turned them all into the same pageant woman. But it was a great show. So misogynistic, but just.
fantastic.
So anyway, we would get
definitely
together
watched that.
and watch TV a few nights a week, and you'd say something funny, and Kathy would go, "Oh my God, I'm going to use that on stage." And we're like, "Yeah, whatever." Meanwhile, my mother's like, "You need to be doing stand-up." And I was like, "No, from what I hear from Kathy, it's like the worst. It's like the most cutthroat, the craziest people. Everyone's not interested." And so, I did the first season of her reality show. We stopped being friends. And then, but from being on that reality show, I got asked to be on some other shows. So I was on this nighttime sort of soap opera, and I got a call. My manager got a call. Would Tony come and do stand-up in this benefit for gay youth going to college funds or some shit? And my manager was like, he's not really a comic, but every time he comes in here, he's like, blah, 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 with the stories. And so I did it once to prove my mother wrong. At the fucking Laugh Factory on Sunset,
Oh, shit.
one of the best rooms in the world.
Yeah.
12 minutes, and I fly my mom and dad in from Phoenix and be like, "Come to see me do stand up the one time." And so 12 years ago, did it, and I walked off stage, and you just go, "Oh my God, how many years did I waste?" I got to be the editor and the director and the writer and the star. Like nobody could fuck this up. Like
No.
it was just me. And
It's all yours.
so
That's what's scary for a lot of people.
moms are always right. They know.
They
Don't
know.
say that because my mom hates that I do stand up.
Well,
Well, Bill, I hate that you do stand up too. So moms are always right. I agree with Tony.
yeah, no. And so then, you know, from doing stand up around, every time someone says to me, how do I become a writer for television? How do I produce, you know, television shows? I always just say you need to be in an improv class, you need to be doing stand up for free in every bar in LA because that's better than any spec script. Now, look, if you want to go into like scripted, that's a whole other world. But I did the kind of shows like for E that you would watch in the nail salon with the sound off. Like that's the kind of great television that I'm responsible for. But so yeah, they were fan. The exec producers of The Soup knew my stand up from seeing me do 10-minute chunks for free, basically open mics, and just said, hey, we're doing a girl version and we want a gay guy in the room to mix things up. Would you do it? And literally gave me a television career from that. And then
Fucking awesome.
because I was at E when they decided to bring back Fashion Police with Joan, I got a call one day and they said, we're bringing back Fashion Police with Joan Rivers. She doesn't like any of the commercials we wrote. And she's just said, get 3 funny gay guys to Melissa's house tomorrow and she'll write something better. So can you go? Literally. That's literally.
That's the fucking best call ever.
I said to my boss, can I have tomorrow off or do I need to call in sick? And he was like, yeah, go be with Joan. She's going to steal you though. And we were like, haha. And I go in there and I stayed up all night and, you know, had all my jokes, you know, Fashion Police, just because it zips doesn't mean it fits, like shit like that. Like zingery kind of, you know, catchphrase. Yeah. And after 10 minutes, she goes, I need to talk to you in the kitchen. And she was like, you're my new head writer. You get it. And she made them make me head writer of the show. I had 1 credit. She made them. And then she kept making, now he has to be a senior producer. Now he has to be supervising producer. Now he has to be executive producer. And like, she just put me in charge of everything. Yeah.
So what
she
does that
really
mean?
gave me,
Like, as I've never known, and I'm don't have any schooling on it whatsoever. I'm fucking mechanic. Like executive producer to what else did you say?
so the top of the
Senior
pyramid is your executive producer.
Okay.
And usually there's one. And if there's more than one is the showrunner.
Okay.
So when you hear showrunner, that's just an EP.
Right.
But they're the main person who is just in charge for the vision and they have to sign off on everything, every font for the ad campaign. Like the showrunner really. So
That's a lot of work.
with a show like Fashion Police, Joan was effectively the showrunner because she had to sign off on everything.
Right.
But yet she lived in New York and only came out 24 hours a week. So she got in Wednesday around noon and I would have the jokes ready for her. She didn't even know what we were going to talk about. We'd already built the entire show.
Wow.
Here's the 21 pictures in the show this week. And here's jokes. And then she would pick the jokes she liked. And then we would stay up all night rewriting and fine tuning the jokes. Yeah. And then she would take a 2-hour nap. She would come in to eat at 3:45 in the morning.
Whoa.
And get into hair and makeup. And we would roll tape at 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. And then she'd fly out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon back.
Holy
So
fuck.
she was literally in LA for like 25 hours.
Wow.
And didn't sleep.
Yeah. She would sleep on the plane. This is an 81-year-old woman. Did stand up in a different city every Friday and Saturday night.
What a badass.
Every week. Was only home in New York, usually Sunday nights or Monday nights. That was basically it. She did the Laurie Beachman Theater most Monday nights, which is like a 110-seat theater in New York, just to try new material, just as her fun. And, you know, they sold the tickets for like $50 a seat. She didn't take a penny. She gave every penny of that to Guide Dogs for the Blind and God's Love We Deliver. Those were her 2 charities. She raised millions for these charities over the years. But like every Monday, sometimes on a Tuesday, depending on her schedule. And then she was at QVC outside of Philly 1 day a week. So like that was her, the woman would she could close her eyes for 10 minutes though, like in a makeup chair. And then you'd wake her up and she was like, okay, I'm good. I'm refreshed. Like she was one of those little catnappers. Like I need 10 hours, dark, silent, cold, leave me alone.
Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried
I
to
can't do it. If I take a
can't
nap,
either.
I wake up way more tired than I was, unless I can take like a 2-hour nap.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
But like those 30-minute, 20-minute cat naps.
15, 30-minute nap is the perfect fucking thing.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
But so you
Makes you
wanted
feel
to
good.
know what the sort of titles mean. So your EP showrunner.
Okay.
And so I was a co-EP, which is basically that meant there was already an exec producer showrunner. And so then they were the the showrunner gets to be called EP, and I was co-EP. And this is not taking anything away from our showrunner. She is a really cool woman who had won an Emmy at CNN.
Oh, wow.
But so she was
That's
a
tough.
news reporter. So she
Right.
really was in charge of the technical. So she had no kind of a humor or comedy background at all. And again, I'm not talking at a bad behind her. She's
No.
a super cool lady. And so the division of labor really felt anything that needed, if it was funny or content, talk to Tony. Still, I had to clear it, but I mean
Right.
that was, and then things that were like, well, we're going to do this edit, or what's the music playing under the show, and camera and the colors of the set, and like font, that kind of all those. And there's a
Busy
million
work,
of those
yeah.
decisions.
Oh yeah, that sounds like the most
So,
awful thing ever.
there's
That's
a
why I
lot of
asked, because
minutia,
I've always
yeah.
wondered, like, what does that person fucking
Then
have
a
to do?
supervising producer would be just under that, under a co-EP. Then below that would be senior producer. Then there's like a producer or a line producer. And then there's like an AP, an associate producer,
That's the
which is like a
bottom.
junior producer. And then there's all the PAs, the production assistants,
Okay,
which
yeah.
are very often interns and
Right.
stuff. But, Fashion Police, that show was made, E does everything so cheap. The joke is you can't spell cheap without E. That's not my line. That's an old joke. But and so people are making $9 an hour.
Oh shit.
And they're right out of school, maybe not even college. Maybe they're just they're 19-year-old high school graduates that are taking some community, and they want to go into production. And the thing about getting in there and working 80 hours a week for no money is they're like, can you do a rough edit of segment 1? Well, no one ever is going to give you editorial control on a real show, but here it's like, just go do a rough pass. You know what I mean? And so you learn how to do editing. You learn how guests get booked. You learn everything because you're kind of involved.
Yeah.
So it is the best way to learn. I mean, that's what soap operas used to be. Is you didn't make any money, but you got to learn
get to
everything
learn the
about how to make a
business.
TV show.
That's where you trained.
Yeah.
Well, and that's important too. Like, you always look for those areas in life. Like, you got to go kind of eat it before you're going to make anything of your life. And the people that want the quick fix are what's wrong with the world. You have to go, like,
I mean, keep in mind we're the Kardashian network,
Yeah.
so which is the ultimate,
But still, though,
quick
like-
fame overnight for not really being talented. But I hate to be in a position to defend those hairy bitches, but they
Yeah, I like a
they
hairy
do they do work. I mean, they do show up. Their time is currency, and they have to be a lot of different places, looking a certain way all the time, and they do, for the most part, show up on time and are kind of reason. No, they're horrible. But I mean, they.
I don't really get mad at anybody's hustle. I mean, if they can figure out how to make all that money by doing that shit, then good for fucking them.
But at least don't be so fucking entitled about it.
Oh,
Because they
yeah.
really do
Oh.
act like they're Meryl Streep. That's my beef with the Kardashians.
yeah.
They show up and they have all their needs, and it's like, for me to do what I do, I require that. And it's like, all you do is sit there and look pretty. And by the way, in person, these are not beautiful women.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever gone to Charlie's on drag night,
Yeah.
they all look like a really pretty, attractive, small town drag queen.
Right.
Not even like a RuPaul's Drag Race level drag queen. They look like a mid-level, bar queen. Drag queen. Like they have lines drawn all over their face, and they're just
So how do they?
It's the Photoshop.
Is there some
Have you s-
Photoshop?
have you-
well,
have
and
you
their
not seen the
makeup. I mean,
yeah.
that stuff. They know their makeup people know. They come on the set and they look at the lighting and they go, okay, now I know how much blowout there's. It's basically a filter. I mean, like Oprah. Remember how gorgeous everyone used to look on the Oprah show?
Yeah.
Well, she had more lights, more actual instruments than any television studio in the world. African American skin is much harder to light. So if you just have more instruments and you just have just a general glow, it's like a ring light or like that
Glow for O.
Yeah, and so we used to
Glow-o.
joke because we had an 81-year-old woman starring on our show that we had Oprah lighting. Do you know what I mean? Like Diane Keaton, if you ever do a photo shoot with her, she's got every light in a tri-state area has been brought in to this little room, and there'll be 8,000 lights because she just has to have like this no shadows because you blow out the wrinkles.
Oh, I get it. We've tried to fuck with this green screen before, and like lighting is such a crucial thing
because you can't have the hard line shadow. For green screen, right?
Yeah, so you got to go with like a solid 3-point setup.
But also, if you put a big light on the green screen, that should help erase that.
Yep. What I want to do is I want to get a big fluorescent across the top there, just really drown it out.
It's great.
You could, but no joke.
For this
you could
talk,
get
Bill.
one of those garage fluorescent tubes and just hang it because you have enough height.
Yep.
And kind of tilt it.
See,
so that it
Tony
would be,
speaks my fucking language.
I mean, literally the soup. That's the entire set.
Oh, yeah.
It literally was just a piece of green fabric on the wall that they put up on, and they moved the fashion police. Our little wall was collapsible.
Yeah.
And then that's all on the E-News set.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Isn't that crazy, though? Like, this is what they do. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They have better software than we do, man.
Well, I was looking at the other day. If you look at the shit that, like, comedians put out for, like, sketches and shit early on in their career, even now, it's just like, we do most of that shit all the time anyways. It's just the same stuff. It's just getting the traction behind it and stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then you get the better shit, of course, that's shot better, but...
How much stuff do you guys have online?
We have
most of these podcasts.
68 episodes.
Okay, but
of
I'm
this
seeing in
podcast.
terms of comedy.
Comedy, I don't, and honestly,
Not a lot.
I don't have a video that's public of me doing stand-up online,
So-
and that's a problem.
I don't know. I'm tending to agree with you. I'm saying so you have links that you can send to bookers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think that people have way too much.
Having too much stuff online?
Yeah. I think that then.
Do you think I think because you see that there's a pullback with people on Facebook and stuff. Like people are getting off Facebook and they're kind of unplugging. So, do you think that that's kind of?
I think it kind of comes down to age, Demo. Like I just love Facebook only because I know how to operate it.
Yeah.
I don't like Instagram. I don't like that you can't have a conversation in the comments. You can't continue to go back and forth, and you also can't comment with a photo on Instagram.
Yeah, that's weird.
Whereas on Facebook, someone can say something shitty, and then you can put a picture of a dog shit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can be funny with a photo. So I just feel like Facebook is more conducive to. Also, Instagram, you can only put up a 60-second clip. And there's all the 10-second bullshit news story and all. Like it's just, and I don't do Snap at all.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
I'm not a big Snapchatter either.
I'm definitely more of a Facebook guy.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
Yeah.
But like for me personally, it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of videos of me doing stand-up comedy online because, I'm learning, I'm growing, like I'm practicing. Like I don't need a bunch of videos of me practicing all over the place. You know what I mean?
That's the same.
Like, and if I get
had
if I get to a point where it's like it makes sense for me to put a certain video online for something, then I'll do it. But most of the stuff we do to promote is mostly the podcast. Or,
Right.
I mean, that's the main
But also
thing.
having a podcast is also good because you can make a camera phone video of, hey, check out this week's podcast. We talk about da-da-da-da-da-da and joke.
Yeah.
And then that joke might end up in your act down the road.
Oh, yeah, there's
I would
definitely
think
been
you
things
write
we've
more
brought up.
material from just talking on the podcast than from sitting and writing.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever taken anything that we've done here except for we'll be talking about something outside after we do the
Right.
podcast.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, that's a great idea. And I'll take that. But I've never come back and taken anything that I've done on the podcast.
I
I've
find
never-
that so strange. Yeah, I would think that in a conversation, you guys, one would say something and then you would come back with this really great burn or comeback or whatever and go,
I mean, he does that.
like, that's hilarious. Like, oh my God, that was just a setup punchline.
To me, the podcast is the podcast. For me to take something from the podcast and use it as my own personal joke on stage, I would just feel like I was stealing from something that was a collective effort of something that we did. Because I wrote, like Bill was saying, I pull stuff from when we're talking before the podcast or we're talking around after the podcast or driving between shows. But
I think that's a weird integrity.
It is.
could be.
I think it's noble, but I think people seeing your act, they just want to laugh. They just want something
absolutely.
funny, and funny is funny. And Celine Dion's gonna sing that goddamn Titanic song the rest of her fucking life. And you know what I mean? Like, and if, when you go and see Chris Rock, if he references my whole job is to keep my daughter off the pole, you smile at the recognition of that. You don't go, oh, how lazy. I mean, now look, if he does 20 minutes from a special 10 years ago, you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
But most audience wouldn't be.
No.
You just know too much about comedy.
That's
You're much
what
more,
it is like you get to a point where you get a little, like, you get a little bit of artistic integrity, and then you kind of let it, like, jade you, I think, at a point.
Yeah,
to me, when I'm like writing a joke, like if I feel like it came from a place that it didn't come from me, like if it came from somebody else.
Oh, I don't
it's just
mean
not my
you say
thing.
something that he said.
No.
I'm saying that if you guys are talking about guns,
Right.
and he says, well, I think all the guns should whatever be put away,
Right.
and you say XYZ,
Yeah.
and then you guys sit here and laugh.
Yeah.
You could, in your act, say, I was talking to a friend of mine about guns, and he
Yeah.
said da-da-da, and I said da-da-da, ha-ha. That is legit. And like, Joan had that card catalog of every joke she'd ever told, and
Right.
all of her the president is so crooked jokes were Nixon is so crooked, and then literally I held them in my hand. Nixon is penciled out and it said Ford, and then Ford was penciled out and it said Clinton. And she's like, a good president is crooked. A fat joke is a fat joke is a fat joke.
Yeah.
Who cares that it was a Liz Taylor joke? Now it's a Jessica Simpson joke.
Yeah.
Now it's a Melissa McCarthy joke.
Yeah,
Fuck.
absolutely.
Funny is funny.
So here's one aspect that I will say is like when I started stand up, I was a huge Joe Rogan fan, obviously by the way I look. And I stopped liking Joe as a comedian because I would watch him do the podcast, and I was like 100%,
Right.
like I'd seen every fucking episode. I was a real diehard fan. And then I saw him do release a special that just has all jokes from the podcast.
Okay, so that's legit. No, that's interesting.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, why would I go pay for your special?
But
if
you're
I'm gonna
not charging people for the podcast
No.
or most of your shows.
No.
So that's what's different.
Yeah.
I think that the small number of people that know every episode of your podcast and also live in Phoenix and can get to a show. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
That Venn diagram is
there's like
so
one.
minor
Oh,
that,
yeah.
if anyone were to go, God, I felt like I know all the jokes, you would go, dude, I'm really sorry. I'm a new comic. I'm building,
Right.
And I want to not be a comic that is doing jokes that I did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So the shelf life of that pop culture reference is pretty short.
Right.
I don't think that anyone's going to be like, oh, I wouldn't come and see you again.
No.
Here's your
Yeah,
whole
no.
act.
No, nobody would be like that.
Yeah, I
at
think it would
all.
only be on your radar.
It's
No,
just-
a
it's
big
just in
famous
my head,
comic
you
that you're
know?
like, well, fuck, I already paid to hear all these jokes.
Yeah.
That's different.
And I don't give a shit what anybody else says about it. It's
Right.
just the way I feel about when I'm like writing something. Like I have to have a positive feeling about it.
Yeah.
If I have to think it's funny, I have to have all these things, or else it just feels weird to me. And if it
Like-
feels weird to me, I'm not going to get on stage and talk about it.
Do you know who Joel
Like,
Kim
I'm
Booster
comfortable.
is?
No.
Joel Kim Booster is a gay Asian comic. He's maybe 30.
Okay.
And he's been on Conan, and he's really sort of blowing up right now. He's very Asian looking, but yet
Right.
grew up in like Ohio. He was adopted by white parents. So he has there's nothing at all Asian about him other than he's very, and so his comedies, and he's gay. Okay. He has a new Comedy Central special, and more than half of it is stuff that he's done in the last two things he did on Netflix.
Okay.
And so I was like, whoa, I can't believe that your Comedy Central special has stuff that you did on Netflix a year ago. Like, I don't think Netflix would be okay with that, or Comedy Central would be okay with it, but he's also building up a fan base, and what
Right.
percentage of people know that he's done those jokes? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
that's the thing too. Is like what percentage of people do know you've done those jokes, or what percentage of people even have a Netflix? You know, like,
right.
There's
Because Comedy Central is free,
Right.
I guess, after cable. But I mean, like, that's a much larger audience theoretically, and a lot of different demographics. And it's kind of like, just be funny, get famous, be funny, get established. Then you can fine tune things with all of your integrity. But right now, no, really, like,
I get
it's
you.
it's just
I do 100%.
I understand completely. And after thinking about it, you may be right.
But I mean, I think
gotta-
if you said it on your podcast, that's fair.
It, 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, anything that's ever come out of my mouth and not been like in a conversation and someone else says like I'm going to use this, then yeah, it's open season. You know, it's free license.
How often do people give you tags that are usable?
Never.
No, not ever.
Fucking
really.
never.
Yeah.
I've maybe gotten like 3 good tags.
Oh, but that's not the worst. I mean, 3 is a bigger number than.
Actually, I got a great joke one day.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things was Mike Gillerman. Do you ever meet Mike Gillerman?
Wow, I know that I know. I've met him.
He was a gay
visual.
comic from Phoenix. He moved to New York, then he moved back to Phoenix. Now I think he's in San Fran.
Gay guy?
Gay guy.
Okay.
Do you know Mark? You remember Mark Silverstein?
Of course.
He looks just like
Yeah.
Mark Silverstein.
Yeah,
Like,
I
but
have
with
met
glasses.
him. I have met him.
Definitely probably met him. Anyway, we were on a roast show with each other, and we both lost in our first round. And he comes up to me after and he goes, I really wanted to use this on you, but I didn't get to. So you look like the Travelocity gnome if he sold weed instead of hotels.
Oh, that is good.
And I was like, I fucking love that so much. Do you mind if I use that? And he was like,
he can't.
And he was just like, fuck yeah, use it. And so every time I would do, he'd come up to me after the show and he'd give me a hug every time
That's
he'd hear
awesome.
it.
That's fantastic.
But it was I fucking love that joke. And I made other places for it to go and
That's
everything.
your best joke too.
Go fuck yourself.
Like,
No, but
I
that is a
respect you
really
so much
great-
for that joke, and now I just don't respect you at all.
Go fuck yourself.
That's fun.
He's been nice to me today,
How long
too.
have you been doing stand-up?
Like a year and a half.
And you?
4.
All right.
Over
And
4.
always Phoenix?
Always home base Phoenix.
Yeah.
I've traveled a couple times.
No, but I
and,
mean, like,
yeah,
living
home-
only while living in
Only
Phoenix.
by living in Phoenix.
Yep.
It's so like the Phoenix comedy community
I'm
is
still,
like your home.
Yeah, I'm still
community.
in my first scene.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, listen, this is the best.
Then again, you're a dude like you came up. So you started in L.A.
Yeah.
And you made a successful venture into performance art and comedy.
I mean,
in L.A.
it's
but that's
nice
huge.
of you to say that.
That's big.
I made a ton of money working for television.
Yeah.
And was able to do stand-up as a hobby that cost me thousands of dollars a year to do. So it's my drug habit. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do.
And
is
so
one of-
I
this is
have
one of
then
my
moved to
cocaines.
Phoenix and lived here for a year and a half, living off savings. I mean, look, I've got no fucking illusion or ego here. There's no money to be made in stand-up anywhere, especially in Phoenix. We've got 4 great comedy clubs, and they have 52 weekends a year, and they've got 200 comics that they rotate through those 52 weekends. So, you know what I mean? You'll get 1 weekend a year at each of those clubs, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And it'll be $300 or $400.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? You can go to Tucson and do a weekend there for, what is it, 150
If that.
for a weekend there? Like, you know, like there's just, people don't understand. You guys know the Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I met them at Big Pine.
Yeah.
Huge fan, love those guys. They were talking about having been with Ralphie May and booked 250 days for the next calendar year. Then they find him, deceased.
Yeah.
And they're mourning their friend who they love. And they're also like, we now have 30 days booked.
Yeah.
Because without him, all those other dates just went away. Like that's and how then they felt like assholes for thinking it and so after their talk, I went up and I went, I think I'm the only person you're ever going to meet that knows exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Because Joan, we had 4 shows on the air. I was opening for her all around the world. I mean, I went to London with her, and then in a moment,
gone.
it's just like, oh, I'm unemployed.
Yeah.
I don't, and of course you're sad, but you also have to think about your ass
it's
and your
just
bills.
that much more devastating.
And so we just sat there and had a good cry that day in that bar and really, really bonded. And so they called and were like, hey, we're doing the Ontario Improv. You want to come jump on our show? We'd love to have you. And oh my God, I'd love that. And so it's $75.
Yeah.
I have to drive 4 hours to get there.
Yeah.
The hotel room cost me $85. So it was a full tank of gas, 8 hours on the road, and I lost $10 cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's comedy. And I was thrilled to do it. And it was a great show. And obviously you're
I'm sure
investing
you're
in your career. But like, I'm trying to explain to my mom and my father, that my parents are so proud of me. And I'm like, you shouldn't be. Yeah. Look at this on a spreadsheet. Like, you should wish I was doing heroin. I would be more reliable, in a better mood. Yeah. And, my teeth are okay, though. So I guess my teeth. But it's the wrongest choice. And yet, I guess that's what weeds out the people that shouldn't be doing it.
I've only been doing it for a year and a half, but like I realized after the first time I was on stage that this is what I've been missing my entire life.
Heavy drugs.
Do you have a day job?
Yeah.
And what kind of work is it?
Banking.
So
he has a fucking Juris Doctorate.
It couldn't have less to do with.
Oh, absolutely.
But certainly your people skills in the office are so informed by being able to get up and talk to a room full of strangers.
I don't fuck with people at work. I don't talk to people at work. I hate everybody at work.
Well, I encourage that. But
like,
I'm just saying,
a fucking loner, but I've had,
when those circumstances arise,
when I have to,
other people in your office, I'm sure, are crippled by the idea of saying to three of, oh, they want us to get a lunch order.
I went to law school.
Okay, so
and
then
that got mostly beat out of me there, because I would have to get up and argue cases in front of people who had argued at the Supreme Court. And so when you're trying to be an attorney, that's like the fucking all-stars of attorneys who go and argue shit in front of the Supreme Court. So to have to like go and be in front of those people.
So you just have to bullshit.
Exactly.
Which is really what stand-up is.
And it's what stand-up is, and it's what I've done my entire life.
Yeah.
Is figured out how to
Not
bullshit,
to imply anyone doesn't have great jokes, but the point is, it's not even about the jokes.
No, it's not. It's about the spell you get
name a
cast
comic
over.
whose act would be funny if you just read it in paragraph
They're all
form.
terrible.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, really, other than like Louis C.K., people don't write, they're not, it's not stuff that you would laugh out loud if you read it.
No.
Right.
But yet, when you see them doing it, so yeah, okay.
It clicks together.
Wow. And how did you get to stand up?
Me? Like I said, I was a big fan of Rogan and more of a fan of Joey Diaz, because I was roughly like, when I started thinking about doing it, I was roughly about the same age when he got into it. And it made me think that I like can do it and I don't have to fucking toil away at some shithole that makes me hate my life. And it was a way to escape my life. And so that's what forced me to start doing it. And then
Have your parents come to?
Yeah, my mom seen me. She saw me like 6 months in, and she was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then she saw me maybe like a year and 6 months in. She was still like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then she saw me recently, and she was just like, "Ah."
Yeah.
Wow, no, that's profound. That's pretty great. I mean, it sounds if she's a tough customer,
She's a tough customer.
Then her kind of going, okay.
Well, she's a tough customer because she doesn't want to see me fucking.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to see her kid be a loser.
Hey, I get it.
That's like the worst thing that you can do to an Italian mom is like, I don't have a 401k and I'm 31.
Yeah.
You're not protected? You're not protecting yourself?
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person where I want to ride this train till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And I want to ride it fucking as hard as I can and have as much fun as I can. And doing, like you said, stand-up is a drug. And the second I did it, I told my brother that night, I went home and I tried to beat off, and I couldn't come to save my life.
Wow.
Because I fucking
right.
I had all that
Something
excitement
better.
and all that shit on stage, and it was just like, and I maybe got like 3 laughs my first set, you know?
But it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You just get bit by it, and then you just, like, right now, it's like a mental illness at this point. It can't stop.
Because, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. You're almost more alive when you come home after a show that didn't go well.
Yeah.
It's not about the high of having a great show. That's what I think people don't understand. You have a great show and then you're just on this high for 2 days. No, that goes away
Instantly.
Immediately.
But
when you have a show that I don't mean like a bad show, like a show that you're like, oh, that was me, man. I made a wrong choice.
Yeah.
That stays with you. And it's not like you're killing yourself. No, you're kind of like, I'm glad I know what I did wrong.
Well, if you can figure it out what you did wrong and like how to correct it, like that's growth. That's human growth.
Well, those are two different things. Knowing what you did wrong and knowing what the correction is.
Wow.
But you know, so many people
and that's
go
what
up there and
is sexy
stink
to me.
for 8 minutes and walk off stage. Oh my God, I crushed it. And you're like, what? My dreams? No, you didn't. But you know, so you kind of. I mean, look, again, Joan, the first thing she said to me every time she walked off stage was, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And
that's
I'd be
the
like,
first question
you
in your mind.
fucking animal.
Yeah.
You just crushed for an hour and 10 minutes. You're 81 years old. You're dripping wet. They're screaming on their feet.
Yeah.
And literally, and she was like, yeah, I know. That one joke, though, that Halle Berry joke, I felt like I did it. And I'm
But
like,
you do that too, don't you?
no, not like she did. Like she loved the self-flagellation. She loved.
I do too.
She loved every time we walked to the Fashion Police set. Oh, God damn it, Tony! There's no good jokes this week. There's just no fucking good jokes in this. God damn it! This is gonna be the worst fucking show. God damn it! It's gonna be the worst fucking show. And at first, I was fearful for my job. Then it started just hurting my feelings, and then I realized, oh, this is all the dance.
Yeah.
This is the boxer coming up the tunnel with the trying to get
she works
angry.
herself up.
She just needs to be angry when
Yeah.
she goes. And then when I opened for her on the road, she would come to the dressing room and knock on the dressing room and go, "Okay, just so you know, you're hilarious. You know, I think you're brilliant. I love you so much." I can hear this is going to be a terrible audience. They're going to hate us. They're not going to laugh at anything we say. And just don't let it get in your head. Don't let it upset you, honey. I love you so much. And you're so funny. Know that. You're so funny. Because they're just going to hate us tonight. And I go, what the fuck is wrong with you? First of all, there's no us. Okay, we're not Burns and Allen. All right? Like, I'm just the faggot that's in the way of getting to you. So no one gives a shit about me. And no, they're not going to not laugh at anything you say, Joan. They're going to laugh at everything you say because they're great and you're hilarious. Like, but she needed to walk to the set going, this is going to be the hardest show of my life.
Yeah.
She just was, she hated people that took it for granted. And it's an honor every time someone gives you a microphone with a cord or a battery in it. And you need to treat it, So that was her system. I am not that way. I'm always like, okay, this is probably going to be a great show. I've done almost all these jokes before for all kinds of audiences, and most people laugh at them. This is going to be fine. This will be fun for all of us. Like has to be my headspace.
Yeah. So you like to get yourself in like a positive
I don't like people
place.
freaking out backstage. I don't like, oh God, can you add 10 minutes? We're freaking out. Yes, I can. Just calm down. We don't have to.
Yeah.
Like you got 4 funny people sitting here. Believe me, you're not going to send home an audience. Oh God, the show is only 8 minutes long, and no, that's never been a problem with comedians. Everyone will go until you need us to leave.
Yeah.
Like, and Phoenix people seem to be so much more
People are pretty easy
relaxed.
going here. Yeah.
Comics are super supportive. People are really, really great.
That's real funny you said that.
But on the whole, don't you think?
On the whole, yeah.
And
far more supportive, a little less clicky than other places.
Totally. And again, coming from LA where everyone is just terrified all the time, every minute. And oh my God, and am I thin enough? Am I this? And am I getting too old? And I need to be on a sitcom and I've aged out and this, and who's going to be in the audience? And then anything good that happens to you is something that came from my bucket.
I know,
and it's like, well, no, Tony, you couldn't be any more different. Like the thing that you got offered for the bearded guy in the commercial, I was never going to book. So just be fucking happy that another comic is going to be able to eat for 6 days. Like
That's one thing I do hate is like
it's weird that
famine.
people can't be happy for.
That's what it is famine mentality.
Famine mentality that kills opportunities for you.
Yeah, and so I've witnessed very little of that in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I've seen so much.
There's a lot of shows, and
At least on the surface. Maybe out in the parking lot when people are smoking with their best friends, they're like, "Fuck that guy." Okay, that's always going to exist.
I'll definitely tell you who I don't fucking like every day of the week.
But
and I tell people to their face when I don't like
That
them.
doesn't make you a better person.
It doesn't, but at the same time, like I don't play the backgammon bullshit,
Right.
And I think as a whole, like when people don't get along, it gets like sorted out here.
It's okay to okay to not love everybody.
It's okay not to love everybody.
Yeah.
But I just I have a friend in LA who just asked. There's a one of the online web series did a bunch of stand-up specials, and they're for people people that aren't big enough yet to get a Netflix special or a comedy special or you know what I mean? It's very small time. But still, I mean, we would all love to, oh my God, 30-minute special would be amazing.
Fuck yeah.
You want to shoot a 30-minute special for me that I don't have to produce? Fuck yeah, let's do it.
So he reached out to the people, and it was all gay comics. And, so now you're really, it's not a deep pool.
No, it's niche.
And he was like, hey, I just want to be on your radar. And, I know you got this thing coming up. If we could maybe meet, can I submit a tape? And they were like, you need to talk to this person, another comedian, a gay comic who I know fairly well. I've done 15 or 20 shows with this guy, always been super nice to me and is very funny. So they were like, he's kind of in charge of it, which I don't really get, but okay. So this guy who knows him better than I reaches out now to his friend, his comic friend, and says, and by the way, just for clarity, one of them is a bear, a heavier, hairier, much taller, big gay guy. And one is a tiny little blonde twink who they would never be up for the same, other than both being technically gay.
Right.
Their jokes aren't the same. There's no overlap in their act, nothing. And they're friends. And he says, hey, I know you're in charge of this thing. Can I, get on
Which
that?
one's
Can I
in
submit?
charge?
One of them. I don't want to say which one. And
the twink.
He says, of course it's the twink. They're always cunts. They're all little bastards.
Shit, twinks.
And so, and so the twink says, no, not only are you not going to be in it, you're not funny enough to be in it.
Whoa.
And you also don't know anything about how LA comedy works.
Wow.
Like, I guess indicating that, like, you haven't done enough free shows that I booked or this person booked or you're on this team or that team. It's like West Side, East Side, like fucking Rap Wars. Like, there's just, I can't even conceive of that here.
No.
Someone being like, I can't believe you did House of Comedy. Well, just so you know, you can stay the fuck away from stand-up live. Like,
There was
what?
a minute where there was a division like that.
Okay, but not for like Tuesday night open mic shows. It was if you're hosting at one,
It was when Monkey Pants was still going, and there were some guys that used to run this room, and they were removed by the bar for getting into it with the bar, and so they asked my landlord, the guy who lives in the house over there, to come in and take the show back over because it was his first.
Okay.
And so at that point, everybody was like, well, fuck it, I'm not going back there because they fucked these guys over. And then there was another faction of people who were like, we're going to go take stage time.
Well, and did they fuck the guys over or
No, those guys were. It was.
I mean, if there was an issue that had to be dealt with,
it was a bad situation.
yeah, maybe it wasn't the ideal resolution.
It
but
wasn't.
That's not the same as open cruelty, fucking someone over,
Exactly.
leaving some. Yeah,
That's exactly what it was. So I mean, and that went away. Obviously, the fucking room's gone. If you could have performed.
What was
there.
the place that used to be? I keep getting told there was a place. It was Scottsdale or Tempe, but like if you worked for that guy, you weren't allowed to work anywhere else. But I don't think
was
that's
the Comedy Spot.
right. But that's gone now, right?
No, Comedy Spot's still there.
Oh,
Stand Up Scottsdale's gone. And those two were like oil and water when they were,
because a lot of people
when
were
they
like,
open.
well, if you worked for him, he was like, you can't host ever at House of Comedy. And it's like, but it's going to be one weekend a year, two maybe.
That wasn't. That
I
wasn't
need to
Howard.
fucking pay
that
my
was,
bills.
that was the Comedy Spot guy. I don't remember his name. Howard used to call him the hamster. I don't know why, but that guy's a real fucking creep. I've never heard anybody, and I don't give a fuck. Like I've never heard anybody say a good word about this guy. I'm pretty
I
sure
certainly
his name's
haven't.
Sean Dillingham. That's his fucking name.
Oh yeah, you're right. I've heard. I mean,
Like,
but I mean, I remember hearing
Christine
Comedy
Levine-
Spot. Everyone just says how
Christine Levine fucking had a very in-depth story about how he fucking like was trying to get her to blow him for her fucking money for performing that night. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it's not my story to tell. It's
Yeah,
speak
no,
out of school, but I mean, that's the type of shit that this guy's been alleged of, and he's still fucking open, which is crazy to me.
Oh, it is still there. He still runs it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because I gotta say, Tom couldn't be nicer.
No, Tom's
Yeah.
a great
West
guy.
Side. Casey, a dream over at Stand Up Live. Hillary, Jack, you know what I mean? Like, lovely. Like, everyone. So I'm not leaving out anybody, am I right? I mean, and then because I don't really know who, because Casey also does improv.
Yeah, it's Chad over at the Improv, but he also runs a really good ship over there.
Yeah.
too,
So, I've only ever seen people be treated as nicely as was possible.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a different time in Phoenix than when I started.
Yeah. I
And
hear that. I hear that a lot.
There's been a lot of evolution, and I mean, even when I started, there was only like you could only maybe get up like once a week or one night a week or once a night, and then now like on a Tuesday, if you want to grind your ass off, you can go
Right.
do 4 shows, 5 shows if you really
Right.
try, like hard.
Well, Thomas does 6.
I mean, I don't doubt it. He probably does.
I fucking love that kid.
Dude, but that's the guy. Like,
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Enders is another one. Like,
Yeah.
the reason Enders came up so fast is
Right.
because Enders was Eppolito.
Right,
Enders ground his fucking ass off in his
Yeah.
first 2 years. Like, he was at more mics than anybody
And
you've ever
the
seen.
thing is, there are enough audience members. Like, this is a big, huge fucking city.
Keeps growing.
Like, it doesn't matter that I've seen your 5 minutes 100 times.
Yeah.
I'm not the audience.
Yeah.
You need to be selling to the 2 people or the
Yeah,
10 people
it's-
or the
and-
20 people.
Fuck the comics and fuck what the comics think.
Yeah.
But again, I have to say, comics have been cool here. I mean, the way people act at
absolutely.
open mics here is so superior to LA open mics. The level of funny at Phoenix open mics is double what you get in LA. First of all, the problem is half the people at an LA open mic are gorgeous
Yeah.
Instagram influencers that have never had anyone say no to them. And so now they've decided to conquer the world of comedy, and they don't have an original thought or any prepared jokes, but they're gorgeous and they think that that's enough.
Yeah.
And so you have to sit through a bunch of that bullshit to get to people that are actually, trying to be comedians.
I wish our
Writing.
bad comics were at least pretty.
That would be nice. To
But
have
we
some
don't
hot,
really.
bad
I mean,
comics.
we don't have people that are just like, oh my god, how are you still everywhere and always terrible?
couple few.
And-
Just a couple few.
yeah, I don't really see.
There's not as many. There's really not.
Oh, I'm
There,
sure
there are
well,
people that I
LA
don't
is-
think are
Potluck
funny,
it.
but I notice, wow, you're a lot less not funny than you
Yeah.
were a month ago when I saw you.
Yeah. That's
people
true.
grow, yeah, and you get to see
Right.
people grow here.
Like you're not stubbornly staying that terrible
Yeah.
for all eternity.
there's some.
And like
some.
my favorite thing at Big Pine, other than the conversation that I got with the Smash Bros, which was just really special emotionally, we did that joke comedy triage, I think they call it. It was Gene
yeah.
Moore and Christopher Royer and Ernesto and I, and people could get up and do 3 minutes, and then we would go, well, here's what I would have done differently. Maybe I would have opened with this because this tells me who you are better,
Right.
and this would have been funnier if I knew that about you already, or what about this as a tag, or maybe this punchline, or maybe if you said this word instead of that word, is it fun? And everybody was just like, oh my God, thank you. That's such a great idea. And so many people emailed later and like, what do you think of this over this? Like it has been, I'm still continuing some of those, like Trajan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She still is just like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'm like, any fucking time.
she's a
awesome.
fantastic.
The idea
writer,
of
too.
having someone that you have a little bit of maybe respect for what their comedic
respect-
take on something is.
respect and trust.
Just to bounce an idea.
Yeah.
You don't have to use what they say. But I mean, again, keep going back to Joan, who's, this is a 50-year fucking icon.
Right.
She still would be like, is it this or is it this?
Right.
I think it's this, but tell me why I'm wrong. Oh, it's that, isn't it? God damn it, you were right. And then you'd leave your body and go, I can't believe I just told Joan Rivers why she was wrong and I was right on funny. But like, funny is funny. And we got to a point where there's like a trust. Yes.
I mean, I every day Curly will be sitting on the couch or something.
Yeah.
and I'll just yell at him and be like, "Hey, like if I said it this way, will you does
Right.
that make more sense?" You know,
And
just-
sometimes you go, I'm saying this and I know it's not right.
yeah,
What is the wrong part though? Because I know it's not right.
I know this should work. Why isn't it working?
And you
Please
just
help me.
need some funny people and so I feel like, well, good fucking luck with that in LA. I mean, you might have one or two that are really, really true, like friends. I feel like I could walk up to any comic in Phoenix and be like, you just saw that, right? Should I have said da 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 da, or was I, I mean, people
they'll give you their honest opinion.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear from someone who has, you've seen other shit.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm
You talking
coming
like he's been to war.
coming here. Oh, yeah.
It is fucking war. Have you not been on stage recently? It's
Oh,
fucking
and by
war,
the way,
buddy.
so I do Pilates. That's like my workout.
How's his workout?
And so it's always like me and like 9 ladies, right? Of course. Although at my place we'll have 3 guys in a class, sometimes out of the 10 beds, which is a lot nationally. Anyway, it's great. It's a great workout. If anyone wants to do it, come take a class with us. They were like, hey, we want to get a picture of you in class this week, and you're going to be like our, not employee of the month, but like our member of the month, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so I'm sitting on my knees, like not what we would call Indian style, but like straight under.
Okay.
And I'm doing like a chest press, like basically with the fly.
Yeah.
And because it's a black and white photo, my knees look like perfect amputations. Like it really looks like, and I'm like in like a tank top, and it was after class, so I was kind of pumped. So in a black and white, like I looked kind of good.
Tony's our member of the month. He survived a bomb explosion.
It really was like, Tony's so brave. He lost both of his legs in the war, but he still comes to class 6 days a week. And he's handy capable here at Pilates. And I'm like, well, the joke's on you. It would probably be like some kind of a blowjob in injury. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even Nam. It wasn't Iraq. It was just some back room of a bathhouse, slippery floor.
I mean, the other dude was in a war for sure.
Oh yeah, that's true. The guy that I blew, I was taking a knee for my country.
Fuck yeah.
God.
All right, so we've been going for about an hour 15. Tony, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, well, they don't want, I
We
get
want
into nothing
people to
but
find
trouble on my Facebook. It's just Tony Tripoli. And then, TonyTripoli.com. I try to keep pretty current with what, free open mic, no check getting show I'll be doing this week. And also, I would like to just say we have this is such a bummer. 2 of our ladies in the comedy community here got bad cancer news this week. So
hearts go out for real.
GoFundMe's
Jesus.
for Chelsea and for our diva. So you can find all the comics are posting these GoFundMe's on their page. But
we'll definitely show
you can do, even if you're just passing it around to get more eyeballs on it. But if you had a big show where you got paid $50, maybe you can throw a couple bucks to Danielle and Chelsea, because they're going through it, and we love John, and it's gonna be a long process for all of their loved ones and all of us that love them too. So let's try to be cool.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
That was fantastic. Thank you.
No, because we do work in an industry where none of us have insurance and none of us have a 401k or whatever, and listen, I mean, the way things are set up right now, a bad medical diagnosis, it almost doesn't matter what you've got in the bank.
No.
It could wipe out even the most prepared person. So it's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Our hearts go out to Danielle and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Take care of those guys. There will be links in the podcast to donate to their GoFundMes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tony.
You guys, I appreciate it so much. This was a riot.
Yeah, it was
This
so
is a
much
great
fun.
time. All right. Also, Tony's going to be on Genuine Comedy, monthly show at Genuine here in downtown Phoenix. I'm heading up to House of Comedy. You guys have a great time. We'll see you later.
Deuces.